Hi everybody, and welcome to West Virginia State Poetry Out Loud Finals. My name is Randall Reed Smith, and I sit on the Governor's Cabinet as his curator for the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History. And every year at the Culture Center, the Arts section, we look forward to the Poetry Out Loud Finals. We have 20 schools competing this year, and that's great for us having to do it virtually. So let's see who our new Poetry Out Loud winner is going to be. It's going to go to Washington, represent the great state of West Virginia, and I'm going to turn it over to our master of ceremonies, Bill Lepp, the greatest storyteller in the state of West Virginia. Enjoy the show.
Greetings and welcome to the 2021 West Virginia Poetry Out Loud Finals Video Showcase. I'll be your host, Bill Lepp. Thank you again so much for having me, and let me just say right now, there's no way I can do this without my glasses on, so you're just going to have to deal with the glare. But I want you guys to know, the teachers, the parents, and especially the students involved in this, I have spent hours and hours and hours and hours over the past year trying to make decent, entertaining videos. I've experienced the frustration of trying to do a performance to nothing but a phone. In fact, I'm sort of experiencing some of that frustration right now. So I know what you've been through. I know how hard it is to record something in a static environment and to worry about not only reciting the poem well and getting the message across and showing the emotion that you need to show, but also trying to overcome feeling self-conscious standing in front of a phone or an iPad or whatever you had to stand in front of. So I know the difficulties that you students went through doing this. Teachers, parents, again, thank you so much for encouraging your students to do this, for sticking with them, for being there, maybe to help video them, maybe to listen to them scream at you while they told you to leave the room so they could video themselves without you there. I know, again, I've experienced all these things, but it's always with such great enthusiasm that I look forward to the Poetry Out Loud. Again, I'm so happy to be included in it this year. I know, again, that there have been extra struggles and extra frustrations that go along with this. But congratulations to all of you who competed. Congratulations to everyone who submitted a video. Congratulations to the finalists. Congratulations to you adults who encouraged people to keep at this through this most frustrating year. So with all of that said, I would like to introduce to you the 2020 West Virginia Poetry Out Loud champion, Ms. Rhea Ming. Rhea is a freshman at West Virginia University, and she is a graduate of Spring Mills High School in Martinsburg.
Thank you, Mr. Lepp, and greetings, everyone. I must begin by expressing how wonderful it is to once again be a part of West Virginia's Poetry Out Loud event, even if it is in a somewhat different capacity nowadays. This program and everyone included in it have made me a better speaker, a more involved student, and a more confident human being. I'd like to take a moment to thank some of the people who have allowed me to make it this far in my journey. Carla Hilliard, my AP literature teacher and the driving force that helped guide me on this path toward success. Takesha Martinez, a close family friend and spoken word artist who is a constant source of inspiration and encouragement. And, of course, my mother, Melissa Ming, without whose support I would never have been able to reach the heights I have achieved. I love you all more than you could ever know. Now, to this year's state finalists. Congratulations! I hope you're all extremely proud of yourselves, because I sure am. You've put in the work, and it's led you here, to this important, albeit virtual stage. I know we aren't in the most ideal of circumstances at the moment, but I want you to take comfort in the knowledge that your participation in this event is enriching and history-making. I'm sure that the amazing benefits this experience has given me, it will give to you as well. Once again, congrats to this year's finalists, and I wish each and every one of you the best of luck today and onward.
This year's state finalists submitted 3 video recitations from the Poetry Out Loud anthology. All 3 of these performances were scored using the standard Poetry Out Loud evaluation criteria, which include physical presence, voice and articulation, dramatic appropriateness, evidence of understanding, overall performance, and accuracy. We'd like to recognize and thank this year's judges: Amy Alvarez, a poet and professor at West Virginia University; writer, songwriter, and graphic designer Colleen Anderson; West Virginia Poet Laureate Mark Harshman; novelist Raja Hasib; and Dr. Joel Peckham, a poet and professor at Marshall University. And now I'd like to introduce Mark Harshman. Mark Harshman is the 7th Poet Laureate of West Virginia, appointed in 2012, and is the co-winner of the 2019 Allen Ginsberg Poetry Award. His newest book, The Shadow Testimonies, is coming out from Ireland's Salmon Press next year.
Hello. I am, as I think has already been said, Mark Harshman, the Poet Laureate of West Virginia, and it's a distinct pleasure to add my greetings to those of my colleagues. Thanks to everyone who's made this program possible, especially to Jim Wolf, Arts and Education Coordinator, and his fine staff. A tip of the hat, of course, to Commissioner Randall Reed Smith. My special congratulations to Rhea Ming, our winner from last year. You did such a fine job, and I am proud of you. And congratulations to all of our upcoming winners. And let me add, all of you, both students and teachers, parents, and program directors of Poetry Out Loud there in Charleston, you are all a clear reminder of what's important to me as Poet Laureate, that poetry be uplifted into our public lives, celebrated as an art capable of revealing the deepest truths about who we are and who we might most ideally become as citizens of this great state and nation. Otherwise, I again feel rather speechless after all of you have come onto screens across the state and bravely recorded your readings, and one after another wowed us with your superlative performances. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and congratulations again to all of you, not just these brave few still standing, but the brave many, all of you. I don't know if my fellow judges agree, but I have never seen so little distance between my scores as I have this year. Hats off as well to those of you who have been supporting these fine young people, friends, parents, teachers. You have reminded us, as William Butler Yeats once said, that the world is full of magic things, patiently waiting for our senses to grow sharper. Truly, I feel sharper because of you, and I am eager for more of this magic that is poetry. You may or may not have noticed that many of these poems, likely a majority, have told a story, but told one within that smaller, delicious box that is a poem, with that special pulse of voice and rhythm and music that distinguishes poetry and makes it truly magic. Barry Lopez has written that everything is held together with stories, and I would add as well with poetry. That is all that is holding us together, poetry and stories and compassion. So there. I'd like to share with you a couple of my poems with little stories tucked inside them. This first poem has a backstory. I was contacted in this past November by the New York Times to write a poem or to offer some kind of reflection on Thanksgiving as seen from here within the Mountain State. It was a request made of poets laureates across the nation. I don't know how many responded, but here's the poem that I wrote trying to reflect upon this hard year lived during the pandemic. Dispatch from the Mountain State. Somewhere Someone's listening to trees talk in a language like song, a song that's been going on longer than time. Maybe. Here we take the maybe with the bad and the certain along with everything else. Nothing goes to waste in the heart of Appalachia. Elsewhere, behind a curtain, an old man watches his neighbor trudge through snow to bring a shovel and soup. Elsewhere, a child's racing the sidewalk home to a dinner where grandma sits in state and in grace. And somewhere, someone's sleeping rough on a cold night, and someone else knows how to find this man, how to find a roof, blankets, soup, hope. You see, we're still holding on here, just enough, despite all we're doing wrong, holding on enough to give not only this man, but ourselves enough for which to be thankful. Even these little gestures can rebirth a nation, reconcile not only colors like blue and red, but reconcile us one to the other. In this next poem, about teaching, if you will, the teacher in the poem is cast in the third person, but in many ways I'm simply drawing upon my own experiences as a grade school teacher. The poem becomes a kind of lament, if you will, for not recognizing the natural ability of children to learn without some regimen of rules and testing to get in their way. Making It Better, an essay on teaching. If only he'd listened to these children instead of teaching rules, obedience to facts, 2 + 2, blue and yellow make green, I before E. Every day they'd cultivated miracles with each other as if they were gods and magicians in a hurry to create the next new world. Water into Kool-Aid, a kiss to make it all better. 5 little ducks gone and back again, quack, 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 quack. What were facts compared to such powers? Call it cookie break, lunchtime, recess, whatever. The miracles came and they were real. Why undermine such glory and achievement as these mysterious marvels, able to defeat time for as long as the forever of holy childhood? Outside, the familiar trees held their breath, and the small stones, dusted with golden light, prepared to witness the lightning of children set free from drill, rote, and the treadmill of test, test, test. Later, when the last bus smoked its way down the graveled road and he'd stood outside the door, he sprinkled what was left of them, those rules, spat them out over the mute beds of worms and their brittle blankets of leaves. If only he'd listened to them, these children, these miracle workers, appreciated their powers, given witness to more than pedagogy, shut his dumb lips with a smile burnt sweet on the sugar of possibilities, all might have truly been made better. Thank you. Again, congratulations to all of you. You are all, every single one of you, a winner in my book. Here's to more poetry for us all. Many thanks.
In this portion of the program, we'll see one recitation from each student. It's the recitation that received the most points from the judges. So now, let's begin the poetry. From Cabell Midland High School, Lily Regan.
An Apology for Her Poetry by the Duchess of Newcastle, Margaret Cavendish. I language want to dress my fancies in, the hair uncurled, the garments loose and thin. Had they but silver lace to make them gay, they'd be more courted than in poor array, or had they art would make a better show, but they are plain, yet cleanly do they go. The world in bravery doth take delight, and glistering shows do more attract the sight, and every one doth honor a rich hood, as if outside made the inside good. And every one doth bow and give the place, not for the man's sake, but the silver lace. Let me entreat in my poor book's behalf, that all will not adore the golden calf. Consider, pray, gold hath no life therein, and life in nature is the richest thing. Just let fancy have the upper place, and then my verses may perchance find grace.
Capitol High School, Ashley Miller.
Today I will be performing No Coward Soul Is Mine by Emily Bronte. No coward soul is mine, no trembler in the world's storm-troubled sphere. I see heaven's glory shine, and faith shines equal, arming me from fear. O God within my breast, almighty, ever-present deity, life that in me hast rest, as I, undying life, have power in thee. Vain are the thousand creeds that move men's hearts, unutterably vain, worthless as withered weeds or idlest froth amid the boundless main. To waken doubt in one, holding so fast by thy infinity, so surely anchored on the steadfast rock of immortality, with wide embracing love, thy spirit animates eternal years, pervades and broods above, changes, sustains, dissolves, creates, and rears. Though earth and moon were gone, and suns and universes ceased to be, and thou wert left alone, every existence would exist in thee. There is not room for death, nor atom that his might could render void, since thou art being and breath, and what thou art might never be destroyed.
George Washington High School, Jessica Tenney.
The Star by Ann Taylor and Jane Taylor. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. When the blazing sun is gone, when he nothing shines upon, then you show your little light. Twinkle, twinkle, all the night. Then the traveler in the dark thanks you for your tiny spark. He could not see which way to go if you did not twinkle so. In the dark blue sky you keep, and often through my curtains peep, for you never shut your eye till the sun is in the sky. 'Tis your bright and tiny spark lights the traveler in the dark, though I know not what you are. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Greenbrier High School, Blaine Yates.
The Sun Rising by John Donne. Busy old fool, unruly sun, why dost thou thus, through windows and through curtains, call on us? Must to thy motions lover seasons run? Saucy pedantic wretch, go chide late schoolboys and sour apprentices, go tell court huntsmen that the king will ride, call country aunts to harvest offices. Love, all alike, no season knows, nor clime, nor hours, days, months, which are the rags of time. Thy beams so reverend and strong, why shouldest thou think I could eclipse and cloud them with a wink? But that I would not lose her sight so long. If her eyes have not blinded thine, look, and tomorrow late tell me whether both the Indias of spice and mine be where thou left'st them, or lie here with me. Ask for those kings whom thou sawest yesterday, and thou shalt hear, all here in one bed lay. She's all states, and all princes, aye, nothing else is. Princes do but play us. Compared to this, all honors mimic, all wealth alchemy. Thou, son, art half as happy as we, in that the world's contracted thus. thine age asks ease. And since thy duties be to warm the world, that's done in warming us. Shine here to us, and thou art everywhere. This bed thy center is, these walls thy sphere.
Huntington High School, Sophia East Tone.
The Ocean by Nathaniel Hawthorne. The ocean has its silent caves, deep, quiet, and alone. Though there be fury on the waves, beneath them there is none. The awful spirits of the deep hold their communion there, and there are those for whom we weep, the young, the bright, the fair. Calmly the wearied seamen rest beneath their own blue sea. The ocean's solitudes are blessed, for there is purity. The earth has guilt, the earth has care. Unquiet are its graves, but peaceful sleep is ever there, beneath the dark blue waves.
Lewis County High School, Bianca Jamin.
No, I wasn't meant to love and be loved by Mirza Azadallah Khan, translated by Vijay Sasandri. No, I wasn't meant to love and be loved. If I lived longer, I would have waited longer. Knowing you are faithless keeps me alive and hungry. Knowing you faithful would kill me with joy. Delicate are you, and your vows are delicate too, so easily do they break. You are a laconic marksman, leaving me not dead, but perpetually dying. I want my friends to heal me, support me. Instead, I get an emphasis. Configurations that would make stones drip blood are campfires compared to my anguish. Two-headed, inescapable anguish. Love's anguish, or the anguish of time. Another dark, severing, incommunicable night. Death would be fine if I only died once. I would have liked a solitary death, not this lavish funeral, this grave anyone can visit. You're mystical, Lily. And also, you speak beautifully. Are you a saint or just drunk as usual?
Logan High School, Rosie Gillette.
Love's Philosophy by Percy Bysshe Shelley. The fountains mingle with the river, and the rivers with the ocean. The winds of heaven mix forever with a sweet emotion. Nothing in the world is single, all things by a law divine. In one spirit meet and mingle. Why not I with thine? See, the mountains kiss high heaven, and the waves glass one another. No sister flower would be forgiven if it disdained its brother. And the sunlight clasps the earth, and the moonbeams kiss the sea. What is all this sweet work worth if thou kiss not me?
Magnolia High School, Sammy Goddard.
Don't Bother the Earth Spirit by Joy Harjo. Don't bother the Earth Spirit who lives here. She is writing a story. It is the oldest story in the world, and it's delicate, changing. If she sees you watching, she will invite you in for coffee, give you warm bread, and you will be obligated to stay and listen. You will have to endure earthquakes, lightning, death of those you love, the most blinding beauty. It is a story so compelling you will never want to leave. This is how she traps you. See that stone finger over there? That's the only one who's ever escaped.
Nicholas County High School, Hunter Schaefer.
Late Echo by John Ashbery. Alone, with our madness and a favorite flower, we see that there really is nothing left to write about. Or rather, it is necessary to write about the same old things in the same way, repeating the same things over and over, for love to continue and be gradually different. Beehives and ants have to be re-examined eternally, and the color of the day put in hundreds of times, and varied from summer to winter, for it to get slowed down to the pace of an authentic saraband, and huddle there, alive and resting. Only then can the chronic inattention of our lives drape itself around us, conciliatory, and with one eye on those long, tan, plush shadows that speak so deeply into our unprepared knowledge of ourselves. The talking engines of our day.
Notre Dame High School, Ben Long.
An Autumn Sunset by Edith Wharton. Leaguered in fire, the wild black promontories of the coast extend their savage silhouettes. The sun in universal carnage sets and, halting higher, the motionless storm clouds mass their sullen threats like an advancing mob in sword points penned that bulked yet stands at bay. Mid-zenith hangs the fascinated day, in wind-lustrated hollows crystalline, a wan Valkyrie whose wide pinions shine across the ensanguined ruins of the fray, and in her hand swings high o'erhead above the waster of war the silver torchlight of the evening star wherewith to search the faces of the dead. Lagooned in gold, seem not those jetty promontories rather the outposts of some ancient land forlorn, uncomforted of morn, where old oblivions gather the melancholy, unconsoling fold of all things that go utterly to death, and mix no more with life's perpetually awakening breath? Shall time not ferry me to such a shore, over such sailless seas, to walk with hope's slain importunities in miserable marriage? Nay, shall not all things be there forgot save the sea's golden barrier and the black, close-crouching promontories? Dead to all shames, forgotten of all glories. Shall I not wander there, a shadow's shade, a spectre self-destroyed, so purged of all remembrance and sucked back into the primal void, that should we on the shore phantasmal meet, I should not know the coming of your feet.
Roane County High School, Carly Harper.
Harlem by Langston Hughes. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or does it fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat? Or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode?
Scott High School, Alyssa Holstein.
Acquainted with the Night by Robert Frost. I have been one acquainted with the night. I have walked out in rain and back in rain. I have outwalked the furthest city light. I have looked down the saddest city lane. I have passed by the watchman on his beat and dropped my eyes, unwilling to explain. I have stood still and sought the sound of feet, when far away an interrupted cry came over houses from another street, but not to call me back or say goodbye. And further still, an unearthly height, one luminary clock against the sky, proclaimed the time was neither wrong nor right.
I have been one acquainted with the night.
Shady Spring High School, Michaela Schrader.
When I heard The Learned Astronomer by Walt Whitman. When I heard The Learned Astronomer, when the proofs, the figures were ranged in columns before me, when I was shown the charts and diagrams to add, divide, and measure them, when I, sitting, heard the astronomer where he lectured with much applause in the lecture room, how soon, unaccountable, I became tired and sick, till rising and gliding out I wandered off by myself in the mystical, moist night air, and from time to time looked up in perfect silence at the stars.
South Charleston High School, Izzy Marino.
All Hallows Eve by Dorethia Tanning. Be perfect, make it otherwise. Yesterday is torn in shreds. Lightning's thousand sulfur eyes rip apart the breathing beds. Here bones crack and pulverize. Doom creeps in on rubber treads. Countless overwrought housewives, minds unraveling like threads. Try lipstick shades to tranquilize. Fear of age and general dreads. Sit tight, be perfect, swat the spies. Don't take faucets for fountainheads. Drink tasty antidotes. Otherwise, you and the werewolf, newlyweds.
Spring Mills High School, Natalia Johnson.
Midnight Office by Cynthia Cruz. The child is not dead. She is sleeping. Gone from this world, which is broken. The angel of Michael outside the garden, his circle of fire maddening around the tree. He put the word back into her, a heavy kind of music. Then she was free, as we all are. All night, I stood in the icy wind, praying for the storm to destroy me. But the wind blew through me, like I was a hologram. If you say I am a mystic, then fine. I'm a mystic. The trees are not trees anyway.
Valley High School, Cheyenne Moore.
Across the Bay by Donald Davy. A queer thing about those waters, there are no birds there, or hardly any. I did not miss them. I do not remember missing them or thinking it uncanny. The beach, so-called, was a blinding splinter of limestone, a quarry outraged by holes. We took pleasure in that. The emptiness, the hardness of the light, the silence, and the water's stillness. But this was a setting for one of our murderous scenes. This hurt and goes on hurting. The venomous, soft jelly, the undersides, We could stand the world if it were hard all over.
Vintage Theater Company, Morgan Sprouse.
I am offering this poem by Jimmy Santiago Baca. I am offering this poem to you, since I have nothing else to give. Keep it like a warm coat when winter comes to cover you, or like a pair of thick socks the cold cannot bite through. I love you. I have nothing else to give you, so it is a pot full of yellow corn to warm your belly in winter. It is a scarf for your head to wear over your hair, to tie up around your face. I love you. Keep it. Treasure this as you would if you were lost, needing direction in the wilderness life becomes when mature. And in the corner of your drawer, tucked away like a cabin or hogan in dense trees, come knocking, and I will answer, give you directions, and let you warm yourself by this fire, rest by this fire, and make you feel safe. I love you. It's all I have to give, and all anyone needs to live, and to go on living inside. When the world outside no longer cares if you live or die, remember, I love you.
Westside High School, Thomas Toller.
They Are Hostile Nations by Margaret Atwood. In view of the fading animals, the proliferation of sewers and fears, the sea clogging, the air nearing extinction, we should be kind. We should take warning. We should forgive each other. Instead, we are opposite. We touch as though attacking. The gifts we bring, even in good faith maybe, warp in our hands to implements, to maneuvers. Put down the target of me you guard inside your binoculars. In turn, I will surrender this aerial photograph. Your vulnerable sections marked in red, I have found so useful. See, we are alone in the dormant field, the snow that cannot be eaten or captured. Here, there are no armies. Here, there is no money. It is cold and getting colder. We need each other's breathing, warmth. Surviving is the only war we can afford. Stay walking with me. There is almost time, if we can only make it as far as the possibly last summer.
Wheeling Park High School, Daily Ward.
After working 60 hours again for what reason? By Bob Hickok. The best job I had was moving a stone from one side of the road to the other. This required a permit, which required a bribe. The bribe took all my salary. Yet, because I hadn't finished the job, I had no salary. And to pay the bribe, I took a job moving the stone the other way. Because the official wanted his bribe, he gave me a permit for the second job. When I pointed out that the work would be best completed if I did nothing, he complimented my brain and wrote a letter to my employer suggesting promotion on stationery bearing the wings of a raptor spread in flight over a mountain smaller than the bird. My boss, fearing my intelligence, paid me to sleep on the sofa and take lunch with the official, who required a bribe to keep anything from being done. When I told my parents, they wrote my brother to come home from university to be slapped on the back of the head. Dutifully, he arrived and bowed to receive his instruction, at which point sense entered his body, and he asked what I could do by way of a job. I pointed out there were stones everywhere trying not to move. All it took was a little gumption to be the man who didn't move them. It was harder to explain the intricacies of not obtaining a permit to not do this. Just yesterday, he got up at dawn and shaved. As if the lack of hair on his face has anything to do with the appearance of food on an empty table.
Woodrow Wilson High School, Katie Lawrence.
Diameter by Michelle Weiberg. You love your friend, so you fly across the country to see her. Your friend is grieving. When you look at her, you see that something's missing. You look again. She seems all there. Reading glasses, sarcasm, leather pumps. What did you expect? Ruins? Demeter without arms in the British Museum? Your friend says that she believes there's more pain than beauty in the world. When Persephone was taken, Demeter damned the world for half the year. The other half remained warm and bountiful. The Greeks loved symmetry. On the plain, the man next to you read a geometry book. The lesson on finding the circumference of a circle. On circumference, you can calculate the way around if you know the way across. You try across with your friend. You try around. I don't believe in an afterlife, she says. But after Kay died, I thought I might go after her. In case I am wrong. In case she's somewhere. Waiting.
And now it is my honor to announce the top 5 finalists in the West Virginia Poetry Out Loud Contest for 2021. I'm going to announce them in alphabetical order according to their high schools. These are the students that received the top 5 highest cumulative scores. Blaine Yates, Greenbrier High School. Ben Long, Notre Dame High School. Natalia Johnson, Spring Mills High School. Morgan Sprouse, Vintage Theater Company. Daley Ward, Wheeling Park High School. The West Virginia State Finals runner-up receives $100 cash and a trophy made by West Virginia artist Matt Thomas, while the school that the runner-up attends will receive $200 to purchase poetry, books, and materials. The state champion will receive $200, a trophy made by Matt Thomas, and a chance to represent West Virginia in the National Poetry Out Loud Finals. The champion school receives $500 to purchase poetry, books, and materials. All teachers and students will receive gifts commemorating their participation in this year's state finals. The 2021 West Virginia Poetry Out Loud runner-up is Daley Ward of Wheeling Park High School. The 2021 West Virginia Poetry Out Loud champion is Ben Long of Notre Dame High School. Congratulations to all the students, parents, teachers involved in West Virginia's 2021 Poetry Out Loud contest. And now it is my honor to introduce West Virginia Poetry Out Loud coordinator, Jim Wolf.
Thank you, Bill. On behalf of all of us at the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History, congratulations to all of this year's Poetry Out Loud state finalists, and thank you for being part of this first ever state finals video showcase. Special thanks to all the teachers who coordinated programs and students who participated at the school level all across the state of West Virginia. We could not provide this outstanding program without the support of the Poetry Foundation and the National Endowment for the Arts. We want to thank our national partners for their creativity and guidance during this unpredictable year. Thanks also to curator Randall Reed Smith and the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History, and to our arts director Lance Schrader and Poetry Out Loud assistant Paul Neal, who has been instrumental in every aspect of this year's Poetry Out Loud program. We really appreciate the contributions of our special guests Bill Lepp, Rhea Ming, and Mark Harshman, as well as this year's team of judges who are so supportive of this program and of the students who participate. Please take care, and we hope you'll join us for Poetry Out Loud again next year.